Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Building and Fire Board of Appeals regularly scheduled meeting. Can we start with the roll call?
Sure. Vice Chairman John Tertullian,
Present.
Board Member Stephen Lee,
Present.
Board Member Eric Kishishan, Board Member Ara Aharonian,
Yes.
Board Member Seven Hanesian.
Yes. Thank you. If we can move on to agenda item number 2.
Okay, the agenda for this meeting was posted on Wednesday, May 9th, 2018 on the bulletin board outside City Hall and on the city's website.
Thank you. Can we move on to agenda item number 3?
Presentations and commendations, update on Building and Safety Month. Mr. Bear?
Yes, I just want to remind everybody that next Wednesday, May 23rd, the city will be hosting a community forum down in the plaza, Parker Plaza. We'll have over 14 vendors. The International Code Conference is going to be here, as well as the California State License Board. And I wish all of you to attend and all the public out there to attend. Uh-oh. It is now. I will again, I will again state that next Wednesday, May 23rd, Building and Safety is hosting a community forum out in the plaza. And we wish everyone, all the board members to attend, and we wish all the community to come out. We're going to have a lot of great events for the family and for people in the industry that are trying to better understand what we do in building and safety. So just a reminder that this is coming up, and we hope all of you will attend.
Thank you, Mr. Bear. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding Building and Safety Month? No? Can we move on to the next agenda item?
Sure. Approval of minutes for April 18th, 2018, and I need somebody to give the first motion.
I'll motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, so Mr. Lee and Mr. Hanesian. All right. Number 5?
I think you have to call for approval.
A vote.
A vote, excuse me, yes.
Oh, approval.
Yes.
So first motion is Mr. Lee, and second motion is Mr. Hanesian, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Okay.
And now call for a roll call.
Oh, roll call again. I'm sorry about that. Then the Vice Chairman, John Tertullian.
Yes, approved.
Board Member is Stephen Lee.
Yes.
Board Member Eric Kishishan. Absent. Board Member Ara Aharonian.
Yes.
Board Member Seven Hanesian.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we can move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, oral communications for today, we have none. And
Old business, the next agenda item.
old business, nothing. Well, actually, old business, sorry about that. Item number 6, old business, for today we have none, but for number 7.
Yes.
To move on to number
We
7?
can move on to number 7. Sure.
The new business, case number BMOD 1807656 for 425 Hawthorne Street. And Mr. Bear will be explaining.
Okay.
I'll come up here so I don't have to talk to you from the side. Today we have an appeal. It's regarding 425 Hawthorne Street. The owner requested a determination from the building official it was May 2017. At that time, Jan Edwards published a determination on August 3rd, 2017 about the records that we have on file for the site. She reviewed all of the records, and as you could see in her determination, she was very thorough. She listed every single permit that we had and every information that was provided to her at the time. She determined that there was 2 legal units on the lot. One was a unit attached to the garage, and then there was a single-family home. After her retirement, I received emails from the owner, Mr. Begramian, and asking me to reconsider based on what he had found at the tax assessor and other items. I reviewed those. I also reviewed items such as the Sanborn maps, which was prior to Google Maps. It was a paper document that would document what buildings existed on which lots and what their uses were. I also looked at the publicly available realtor websites such as Zillow and those kinds of things. All of them showed that the front house was a single-family dwelling. I found nothing that would cause a change of what Ms. Edwards had determined, and therefore the owner chose to appeal that determination and make his evidence or what he believes is the evidence of an additional unit existing on that site directly to the board. And so if you have any questions on how we determined it, you could ask me. Otherwise, we'll go right into the presentation of the applicant.
Did you have an opportunity, other than what you stated, to review the documents, or were
Yes, I reviewed all the documents independently.
Everything that Ms. Edwards had reviewed, you had an opportunity to
I did.
to review? Okay. So,
And I've
I mean,
included all
you're up
the
to
city's
speed.
records
Yeah.
in your package there.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you said 3 units.
We determined there's 2 units.
units.
The applicant wishes to try to prove that there was 3 units.
Mm.
He says the front building is a duplex. We have no record of it as a duplex. We don't know how it's divided as a duplex. We don't know how 2 kitchens exist in there, whether rooms have light and ventilation, whether they have the required fire separation. There's no record that we have of how that building was ever divided as a duplex. And in fact, when you looked at the publicly available information when it was sold as a single-family house. It was being used as a single-family house, and all the descriptions of work said it was being used as a single-family house.
This sketch from city or from owner?
That is a back of a permit. It is from the owner,
Yes.
and they have been doing work on the recognized unit behind the garage.
Okay.
And those were the information submitted by the owner as they were doing work for the back room. That's just a copy of the back of the permit. We asked that they provide a plot plan so that we can.
So, but this 425A as it's listed is not in question.
That is not in question. The garage and 425A being the unit in the back of the house, we agree is permitted, it's legal, and the owner is obtained all the proper permits to rehabilitate it and improve it right now. He's going through that construction. The discrepancy comes from the front building. We say that all of our records and all the records we do only justify a single-family house, where the applicant believes it is a duplex.
Is there any drawings?
There are no plans on file for this building. In fact, other than the permits that he's recently obtained, there was no permits obtained for decades prior to that.
Did the owner submit any drawings for the front unit, or supposedly the two?
The owner has not provided us with any documents and has held off on providing any improvements to the front until he gets, understands what the determination is from the board. But I'll let you ask him all the questions, and that way you get it straight from the horse's mouth. I don't want to speak for him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, city staff, Mr. Bear. Thank you for coming in. I know you have busy schedules, and I want to appreciate you coming in here in my case. I would start, I bought this property 2 years ago along with my wife. This is zoned as R1250. You could build up to 5 units on a property. At the time when I bought it, every record showed as a 3-unit, starting from assessors, from a title. As you see, I submitted them in a packet. Yet the gentleman who lived there, elderly, the owner, he was, I believe he was living alone, and he didn't care for the property for a long time. He used it as a single family. He had many children. When I bought the property, I remember the agent said there were 2 other families living in a property way back when they were kids. I think they were my age or probably even older. And yet after that, a certain time, they occupied the property by themselves. It was not attended, so when I bought it, I intended to fix up the place. I went to the city, and the city records indicated that it is a single-family dwelling. And I had to meet with, back then, a city official, Ms. Edwards. She stated it's a single family. However, we had a couple of meetings, and she looked at the records. She came with the determination, although Mr. Bear called it thorough, meticulous, and detailed, it is not. Ms. Edwards missed few things in her decision. I'll get back to it as we go. Like I said, I looked in the titles. It is mentioned as 3 units. The assessor records show us at 3 units. Ms. Edwards did not have the documents from the assessor's office. She indicated that she would reconsider it when I bring the assessor's documents to her. Yet when I was able to get it, she was retiring or in a process of retiring. Then eventually I met with Mr. Bear. Well, there are factual evidence and circumstantial evidence in a file that shows the unit 42B existed or exists. Ms. Edwards, in her letter, which is called meticulous, at the end of her decision, I highlighted for you, she indicated there are 3 elements for the dwelling unit. It has to be a heater, it has to have a electrical permit, and a kitchen. And she said, in her decision, those items are missing. Those items are there. If you look at my Exhibit 5, page 9.
Can you give us a second so we can follow?
Sure.
Exhibit 5.
Exhibit 5, page 9.
That's 6. So 6 is the electrical. Here. Is it this document?
That's right.
Yeah.
Mine is highlighted, but
Okay.
on the right side,
Yeah, on the right side, yes.
yes, it says 425A top and 425B. It's a permit issued by the city. This is issued 1942. 32 and 42. There are two permits.
This says 1932.
Oh.
This says 1940.
42, can you, okay.
That indicates there were 2 units. That's clear fact that 42B existed. I still have the panels in my property. They were hanging until recently. Those are electrical panels or sub-panels. I'm not in the trade. I submitted the pictures in a packet. It does say 42.5A and 42.5B, and separately 42.5A.
I have a question. Do you know how many meters you have, electric meters?
At this point, I have 3 meters.
3 meters.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 3 meters, right?
And 3 bills comes to the building, electric bill.
I assume, yes.
It doesn't show on the plan there's a 3 meter, only shows sub-panel,
But
electric sub-panel.
it's changed. When I went and did some remodeling on 42.5A, they took those down and it's new panels there. But
have
those are,
pictures of those?
they existed.
Do you have pictures?
Of what?
Those 3 panels?
Right there.
Oh,
3 meters.
3 meters. The panels don't mean anything.
Yeah, the
Oh, yeah,
It's the electric meter
they're
itself.
just sub panels. The meters, I don't have the meters, no.
this is the 3.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
should
no,
be,
I-
it should
panels.
be, they were hanging, they were operating until recently when we just remodeled it, probably like a few months ago. It was there. But, I mean, even whether it's 1 meter or 3 meter, doesn't matter. You could have 1 meter for the whole property. I don't think it's just the fact that there were sub-panel for 42.5A or 42.5B, it's a different question. It's just a
Well,
factual.
In construction, sub-panels, you can add 100 sub-panels, it doesn't matter. But the reason why we're asking is because sub-panels don't make a determination. In order to get permits or regulation, normally each meter is only given to a unit, unless it's house lights and water for apartment units.
I agree with you. However, the property does not have to have 3 separate meters for each unit. They could have 1 meter for the whole property if the owner pays it, such as water and everything. I have another property, I do the same way. You could share the gas, but at that point, there were 2 meters there. I don't know, when they took it down, I don't know how they operated. I'm not an electrician, but all the lines coming from those meters went to the sub panels, and they were attached together, and those writings were from back then. It just indicates it is for a certain unit. They operating, whether it's sub panel by itself or a panel by itself, it's operating for unit's purpose. And their records does show there was a permit issued for 42.5B.
Permit for what?
This, are you referring
there,
to this
this
page number
page.
9?
Correct.
Yeah, whether it is, whatever, just the fact that it mentions 42.5B, that means the fact itself means that it's a 42, there is an extra unit, 42.5B. They would not come up with that unless it's there.
See, according to this, if this is an accurate permit, according to this, you're gonna have 3 separate meters there.
The other meter is with the original house. It was
Correct.
done in 1922. The construction began in 1922 with the main house and a garage. And then there were some additions behind the garage which became 42.5A, and another section was added behind the main house. Eventually it became a bedroom. And that one was done, it was another bathroom added to that section, and it was assessed in 1949, which I submitted. And it does show a kitchen.
So those are part of that.
That is
part of here. It's permitted.
permitted, yes, they're all permitted.
Okay.
But permitted rooms doesn't mean it's a permitted unit. 2 separate issues.
Yeah, I understand, but if the records, whatever records I have, and the city several times admitted they're missing certain records for all the properties in Glendale, not mine alone. And to have me a burden to go around and look for them 70 years after, it's hard for me. And whatever they asked, and I did, I went to assessors. Why would the assessor go and assess the building and say it's 3 units when it's a single family? They went, in 1949, they assessed, the way they operate, I'm sure you know better than I do, when a certain construction is completed or permit is submitted to them, they go and assess the building. And they done it in 1949, and I submitted that in a packet.
Where is that?
It is,
Sorry for
No, that's
interrupting,
okay, no.
but I just kind of want to
Doesn't seem
follow.
right.
it is submitted in Exhibit 2. Again, this is the document.
What page?
It's like probably 4th page, right before Exhibit 3. It does indicate on the left, upper left column, it says 2 additions, and it says kitchen and some square footage. And it is done in 1949.
Can you show us which,
What's the sheet?
Here, 2 additions.
this one here? Yes, okay, I got it. This one, right? This one or that one?
The second one.
Second one? Okay. Okay.
I'm a lay person, but I think that's how they explain to me at assessors. Two additions on the left upper column, handwritten, and you on the bottom it says 1 kitchen, and date is 1949. And in 1949 they had a bit. The owner pulled a permit for an additional permit for a bathroom, and on that it clearly says a bathroom added to new addition to present bedroom, including toilet and shower. It is page 12.
Page 12 of the
12
exhibit.
exhibit 3. I mean, sorry, 4. 5.
Page 12.
I think they provided you double records. I submitted my records. Don't look the end of, because I had to go back and forth to organize their record to put, just look up,
Is it this one?
should be,
I just want to make
it
sure
says,
we're all
it
looking
says,
at the
yeah,
same document.
it should say 12 on the bottom.
Yes. Okay.
The documents I submitted, they have numbers on the bottom, page numbers, so you don't mix with. On the bottom, it says, add new addition to present bedroom, including toilet and shower, I guess. And this was assessed according, the date coincides, 1948, this was assessed by assessor. And they went in, they looked at it, and after that, they paid some other fees, new construction, additional cost, following pages if you follow. They're doing more work, and this, as soon as this was done, we went in. That's, I mean, the assessor is not around anymore, but they said, this is how it's done. As soon as this is completed, we go assess. We notice a kitchen. We noticed a new addition. We assessed in 1949. And their assessor documents does have 1949 if you look.
See, for me personally, I'm not doubting the documentation. But in all those documentation, nothing shows that you were doing this as a second unit. you did, the remodeling that they did, it's remodeling. That means you're only adding stuff to the existing single-family dwelling. They're adding a bedroom, they're adding a kitchen.
Yeah, but
But at that time, I can't speak for that time, but they might have approved the second kitchen for a single-family dwelling. That's a possibility. I don't know.
second
I don't-
kitchen for a single family?
Because in Pasadena, I almost bought a home that has 2 legal kitchens. So from records showing, I don't show any here that they applied for a second unit.
Well, you put
See,
it
just
up.
because you keep on going get permits, I can keep on adding to my house.
Yeah,
But I can't all of a sudden say that, hey, my house is now 2 units because you let me add all these things. That's where I don't have any documentation. Can you provide a drawing of those 2 units right now that you're talking about? Because in order,
the
see,
drawing,
our main concern is building safety.
right.
Make sure it's built, 2 units are built correctly, because there's firewalls, there's other separations that are required. So now, if you were to do a legal apply, at that time, that owner, if they applied for a permit to split that into 2 units, those regulations would have been looked at. That means the safety is already there. What I'm concerned with is the safety of the 2 units right now. If we deem it as 2 units, is it safe? I cannot make a determination without knowing
Well, we
what
don't
it looks
know.
like and how it's inside.
We don't know, records are missing.
No, no.
I don't know.
No, but
You
we
have
can't-
drawings of it.
But we can't make that determination in today's code. If they
Yeah.
allowed it back then, and he's gonna
1940,
make the case or what, if they allowed it then, that means it's grandfathered then. I mean, firewall, this, that, maybe those are codes after, or if they had it before. I think, I just want to clarify, we as a board cannot impose a new criteria. If he
Okay.
had it, it's grandfathered
Grandfathered in.
in, it's grandfathered in. Mr. Building Official, am I correct by making that statement?
Yes, if it's legally permitted, it's grandfathered in. If they had it and it wasn't legally permitted, there is no grandfathering.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because like I said, in seeing all these documents, I'm seeing that, yes, you are legally permitted for an extra bedroom, legally permitted for an extra kitchen. You have all the permits. There's no doubt about it.
I don't
That I
see
see.
where they got the permit for the extra kitchen, and I know the
Oh,
assessor
okay,
says
I'm getting to
here
it.
that it says
I'm getting
kitchen,
to it. And
but it's not new.
But
Okay.
for me, like I said again, in order to determine, there needs to be a second unit permit in here. There is nothing that applied for a second unit. And that's why I have a good feeling that if you took a picture right now of the meters there should be only 2 meters. I can pretty much, in seeing what's occurring here.
again, having separate meter is not a requirement to have a separate unit altogether.
Well,
I-
legally, the permitting now, back then, I don't know. But
Yeah.
Nowadays, in order to get a unit, has to have its own electrical meter.
Well, at
You
the
can
time-
split the bill all you want, but legally, each meter determines the unit.
Well, the records does show they issued a permit for 425B.
No, it's showing that you change a meter on it. The permit that you were talking about,
But the fact that there is 425B, the fact that it says 425B, that means there is 425B. Let me go, if you have, I want to show another fact that Ms. Edwards, before I forget, and there is a letter going out from the city. Probably not exactly, but addresses this issue. It is Exhibit 3, if you look at it.
Exhibit 3. Give us 1 second.
Page,
yeah, it's
It's just
asking,
one pager. It is addressed to 425A, and it says, right in the middle column, it does say 425B. It says you have to have 2 separate mailboxes, I think that's what it says, for the mail delivery to be, not to be mixed or confused. They did not have mailboxes. They said, you have 425A, 425B, put separate boxes. This is done in 1950s. We could, and the other thing that Ms. Edwards.
It says from the city of Glendale?
Yeah, it is from building superintendent, which is probably city official back then.
Yeah, we had no record of this. I don't know how the applicant found this, and again, we're looking at it from the point it mentions 2 addresses for the lot, which may be for the 2 units that are legal.
This is from 1950s.
You know where you got this
Okay,
document?
when I bought the property, there were a whole lot of letters in boxes. Matter of fact, this is, it's like a box. This is the cover of the box. All those letters were sitting in there. And I put them aside for the owner to come pick it up because it's not mine anymore. But I did take pictures of probably 5, 6 of them in my old iPhone. I printed 1 or 2, and I put in my papers for tax purposes. You know, I had my escrow papers and I had it in there. So when I indicated to Miss Edwards, she said, bring all the documents, any correspondence that came to the address, I'll accept it. And I gave it to her. She accepted it, and she had some questions about it. I said, I don't know. It is coming from, well, questions meaning where I got it, same questions. She didn't have any doubt about the letter, and she included this in the record. She said, with this, and if you bring me assessor's documents that it shows 3 units, you'll probably be able to get the 3 units. This is a conversation between me and her, and I wasn't able to get it in time.
So did she see this before she retired?
She took, yeah, she saw it. It's in her decision.
And, sorry to follow up. This document, the letter, is not from the city? This is from records that you had at the house?
At the house, yeah.
Okay. So I have a question for the building official. When an applicant requests building records, like permits for the history, which is a requirement for new construction or whatever you're going to do, I think
Right.
the city requests that you pull all the records. Is there other records that is not in there, like letters from the city official, like this one, that would not pop up in that permit request? Because that's a permit. I'm making the assumption that that's a permit and this is a letter document.
That is correct. The city's policy in the 50s on permit records was clear. We maintained permit records. Communications, I do not believe we've retained. So Ms. Edwards looked at that letter and gave it due thought in the course of her determination.
Okay, thank you.
And she admitted it is in a record at this point. I had others, but unfortunately, I lost my iPhone, and this is what I printed. There were some letters going out. And the other thing that Ms. Edwards did not mention in her, or missed in her letter, she indicated that she found only 2 heaters. Actually, there are 3 heaters permitted for the property. If you look, Exhibit 5 again, page 9, right in the middle column, there are 2 heaters.
Hold on 1 second.
Exhibit 5, page 9.
Page Okay.
In the middle column. The second and third. I'm sorry, third and fourth. It says permit number 4355 and 46317, two separate heaters. If you turn to page 11, same couple of pages later, you see another heater permit. Right up top, it says plumbing 7342, one heater. This is 3 heaters. And as far as the kitchen is concerned, we have 3 sets of plumbing and gas connections for the property. I don't know whether you go in to the city and say, I want to build a kitchen, give me a kitchen. I just did it, and they asked me for gas, and there are 3 sets of gas hookups. One original house, one is issued 1928 with plumbing, permit numbers 38518, 3533, and one is same year in a page 9 on the bottom. It says rough gas sewer finish.
Another question, how many gas meters are on the property?
Right now, back then, probably was 1.
And
Right now, there are 2, and there is a space for 3.
Oh, so it's plumbed for 3,
Yeah,
but there's 2.
2. Because the city would not give me the permission to put the 3rd one.
So, one is confused me, okay? There's no plan, floor plan, saying this one A, this one B, and this is C, whatever. And we like to see the separation between first unit and the second unit in the same building. And then meter location, I know that it shows meter's location, but it doesn't show any meter. Whatever request, like how many meter we have for gas meter? 1, or they separate lines from 1 to 3 unit on the same line?
They would not, I don't know, I cannot go under the house to get the lines, but I just did a new gas meter, and they provided me with the rack. I'm not sure what it's called.
Crawler.
And it has 2 meters right now, and
Okay.
there is a room for the 3rd one. They said it's sitting there vacant
Yeah.
because they said
For
as soon as you
future.
get the 425V, we'll just hook this up.
Okay. Possible 2 meter, okay?
Mhm.
But 1 meter for the front house,
Yeah,
the second for the behind the garage,
right.
okay? But in between, where is the meter? You don't have it.
I don't have a meter.
No, like 1 meter for the front house. You're saying we have a 2 gas meter.
Uh-huh,
Okay. Possible 1 for the front house,
right,
second one, the back of the garage.
right,
Okay. Now, we're talking about 3rd unit
right,
attached with the 1st unit.
right.
Okay.
As I know at this point, because the kitchen is not operating, it just serves the 1 meter serves the whole thing. I don't know. Maybe it's disconnected, plugged, whatever. I don't know. But it is 1 meter for at this point for the front house. The gas company would not allow me to do it. City would not allow me to do it because their records does not show 425B. And back to your question, why the drawing reflects 425? I tried to draw 425B when I went to get them permit. They did not allow me. I'm sorry, not the officials over there. They said, if you put that in there, it's going to be a record. Don't do it because it's not there. They did not allow me. That's why I was forced to get permits for 425A. I was forced to just put the front, the house as one, in one
unit.
drawing. They did not let me to separate.
They
Correct.
figure one unit.
Because their records show one unit. If I put it and I separated it, it would be in a record and a hearing today, we would come in and
Well,
they would not let me.
you can do 3 units, the first building. You know, you can
Yeah,
do.
but they did, at the time, they did not let me. As I tried to do it, and they said, no, you can't. And separation, the only indication at this point we have, I think the city submitted Sanborn map, which is just a map that I think fire department used for, the insurance companies used it for, recovery purposes or claim purposes. That's how much I know. But on their map, it does show a separation. Sanborn map, if you look, the city provided to you, it does show a separation.
Where is that?
I don't have a number, but the cities, I think it's in your pile. I think you indicated it's 110.
City,
It's the first exhibit for us, and it shows a single-family dwelling on the front of the lot, and it identifies the dwelling unit on the rear of the garage, so a total of 2 units. So it again supports our determination. And even the records when they were selling it, as shown on the very last page, when it was being offered for sale, every description basically indicated that the front single-family dwelling, and then it referred you to the city to work out the zoning on it. But it says the tax assessor has it as 3 units, but the front building's a single-family dwelling. And that's the way it was advertised for sale.
Well, the real estate agent, I mean, whatever they wrote it, what Mr. Bear is mentioning, that it's an advertisement. An advertisement, it says the front house is used as I believe, it says it's used as a single family. It doesn't say it's a single family. It is used as a single family, which I already told you. The family decided to use it for their whole family. They did not rent it out. Says probably for 30 or so years, they didn't rent it, the units. They used it as for storage. They had piles of things in their units, which they emptied eventually. But advertisement doesn't say it's a single house. It is used as a single house, I believe.
on Exhibit 7, page 2, city parcel map.
No, this is actually the Sanborn map. This is the Sanborn map, right?
Yeah.
That is the Sanborn map.
And Sanborn map, one indication, I asked someone, and they were familiar. If you look in the back, it has a dot. Dot means a door. And Mr. Bear just raised the issue of egress and safety issues. When insurance companies go, they look for an egress, and that is safe. The door is there. The dot means door. That's how I found out.
Yeah, there's also shown a door in between showing that it's 1 unit.
I thought it was a separation.
Specifically shows that it's open.
See, I stopped by 2 times to look at it, to make sure, get some pictures. And unfortunately, first time there was a pickup truck or SUV or whatever, and then door is closed or curtain or anything, I cannot see back. I have to go to neighbor's side to watch it. And second time,
If you warned me, I would have let you in.
Second
I
time-
haven't been there in a long time.
Second time,
yeah.
again, I was there, I stopped by, and I look at it, I cannot see anything. Just, there's a big curtain. Just like,
Two curtain in a
no,
yard
no, no,
or
no.
in
I'm
a
saying
room?
just like cover up. I cannot see back. I cannot go in the backyard and then look at the building. I was there
again,
twice.
if you asked, they would let you in, or maybe, I don't know why, but when I was a juror, they told me never go to the site of the crime or events. But you went, that's good. But If you warned me, I would have allowed you in. Like I said, I haven't been inside the house since I bought it. Inside the house, I've been to it because I've been plenty of times for the garage, 425A because we're remodeling. I went in, but I haven't been inside for a long time. I don't have business there.
Just I was going to look from outside, but I cannot see anything.
Outside is just
Yeah.
almost like a square one. Whatever is in some born map, that is how it's shaped, I guess, with the carport.
Do you have any plans to show how that front building is divided?
I don't have the plans with me, but I believe the back area that when I went in, it seemed like the traces, how it was divided. This is like 2 years ago. It was that back unit, the bedroom right in the middle. A bathroom almost in the middle, and the back side is the 425B. Back then, there was I have the 425A on a garage. I had 425B on that door also. It's the back of the house where that dot is. We cleaned it up, we took it out. My original plans was to tear it down and build 4 or 5 units, but things changed financially, and this is where we are.
Mr. Building Official, did the city require a plan at that, in these time frames that we're talking about, 23, 20,
No.
40? It was
just the application.
Written, right?
Some of the permits have a corresponding, I'm not sure what you call this portion, this application. Some permits do have it, some permits don't. So sometimes the explanation is here, what is the permit for, but most of the time it's just a handwritten thing on the back like this, a heater or a plumbing, whatever. There were plenty fixtures and for the property and plumbing, and was a re-roof done later, but no explanation as far. The only other unusual thing I see back in if you look Exhibit 5, page 15, on top it says alter, repair, and on one of the number 10 also say alter residence. So I assume this initiated that alteration of residence, being the assessor to come and reassess the building for 3 units. And 3 units started back then. I looked up in the title companies, it goes as far as back until 1950s. It doesn't go back to
So
1950s.
until 1950, what does the title company have it
It
as?
always says
3
3
units?
units. Starting 50s. That's the first thing you see there is 3 units.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for our building official. Mr. Bear, Mr. Bagramian talks about, as a commissioner, of course, I'm concerned about the charter of the city talks about. Have you read that? Talks about the city charter.
Okay, what about the city charter?
He says that very clearly it doesn't specifically mentions for license, for permits going back after 65 years or something like that. Have you read that?
I know that there was damage to city records in 1906. So if things were built prior to 1906, we may have lost them.
Okay.
After that, I am not aware of any where we've actually
Okay.
lost records in a massive breach.
And number 2, do we need more documentation from him?
The board needs whatever you decide you need to make your determination. And essentially, there's three determinations. One is you support the building official's determination on the use of the front building. The second is you basically adopt the applicant's determination of the use of the front building, or you have any other choice that you want, that you can go one way or the other with conditions.
Okay, thank you.
I'm leaning toward conditions to apply for that third unit. Because in order to, because right now, according to all the documents I see, it's just all additions.
I don't understand too. I sort of suggested that condition to Mr. Bear. He said no, but I don't know what that is.
You can't, again, filing for a permit that would increase the number of permitted units would require full zoning compliance. If you determine that there are 2 units but require them to get permits to upgrade and identify the 2 units, that would be a separate condition. But if we do anything that says we're adding a unit, they have to have full compliance with zoning, for parking, for everything.
That's understandable, because according to what I see in the tax assessors, it's zone R4. Is it zone R4?
I believe it's still zone, what, R1250?
Or 1250? Okay.
Yeah, we could build. I'm not sure R4 is
Well,
means back
1250
then.
is okay, because it's a
Again,
6,500 square feet lot, right?
Yeah, the determination is, did the building official err in looking at all these records to say that that front building is a single-family dwelling?
I don't see that error. But like I said,
Well-
again, if he applied for a third unit,
Yeah, he has.
that I can understand.
I think he's looked at the options of all these other things, but again, once you start requiring parking and landscaping and even to identify it, if you determine that the front building should be a duplex and require them to provide plans to building and safety to show that both units comply or something like that may be the option. But if you say the building official did not make an error in determining it's a single-family dwelling, then it is a single-family dwelling.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward that right now,
Well,
because there's no
let's,
documentation.
if I may, can we ask the gentleman, are you done with your presentation, or do you have other things? Because we have questions for the building official, I would presume.
Yes.
And then I have some more questions. I've been taking notes.
I'm done, I guess. If something comes up in the questioning, yes.
I have some questions unless somebody else has. I just want to confirm some of the comments or documents that you presented. Some of the things that stood out as I was following your presentation. I'm understanding that the title report shows 3 units.
Yes.
Starting from 1950.
Yes.
Okay. The assessors shows 3 units starting from what date?
I submitted the assessor's documents. If you look Exhibit 2, it would be the second page. It says 3 units, and if the second page shows 3 units,
Hold on.
and
Okay. Second page and, yeah,
Here,
I
I'll
see,
show
it's
you.
highlighted, I see it. 3
yeah,
units.
it shows 3 units here, then shows 3 units the second page, and the final page
3 units.
of the assessors in this area here, their dates of assessments. It says 23, 24, 49. So when I asked them, they said the last assessment was done 49, and they provided me that assessment document, which is this, and it shows 3 units.
Yeah.
That's the oldest they have, as for 3 units.
I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
You, in your presentation, you made a comment that the permits for, I believe it was the heaters, then there was a corresponding assessor's evaluation with that. I'm trying to establish
No.
like a correspondence or a timeline. You said a meter was taken and then the assessors was changed. Did I understand that
No,
correctly, or can you
I-
clarify that?
No, the meter issue,
Not meter.
let me show the
Permit.
gentleman there.
It wasn't regarding the meter, it was, or
It's-
maybe it
it's
was.
here. Maybe I highlighted and I looked up. May I approach and show?
Yes. He's gonna show you.
It shows 3 units here. This is the assessment, and it shows 49.
Okay.
This is 3 units. This is 3 units. This is from assessors. And when they assessed it, it's in 49, the last time they did, and the corresponding assessment is this, 49 and 50. It does show a kitchen, bathroom, and certain square footage. And
Can you
here-
clarify that to all of us, because you're using the word correspondence, and I'm understanding that
Corresponding
you're
is-
showing, I wanna understand that better.
Okay. All right. The way I understand, when a permit issued by a city, it is sent to the assessor's office. They're not. I built a house that's.
Currently,
maybe I'm-
they are, back in the 40s and 50s, the assessor did theirs independently.
Okay. Well, they came in and assessed the building. I'm not sure how it's done. We don't have a proof, or maybe that is true. There is no reason for mislead anyone here. But as far as I know, the assessor comes in as soon as the permit is issued. And 49, the only time, only permit issued in year 49 was that sort of like an addition. It mentions a kitchen and a living area. It doesn't say bedroom, because bedroom existed way before that. In 1949, they came in, they assessed it with the bathroom, one kitchen and some living area and some square footage, which I cannot, about 300, which is, when I measured, is almost that area, the back of the house.
See, for me, it's still, when they come out to assess, they just look and see what's there, and they jot down that it's 3 units, because they see that it's 3 units. But that doesn't mean that it's legally 3 units. And that's why at that time, if it was now, that assessor would have went and checked with the city to see, hey, is it permitted? I'm seeing 3 units, records show 2. But I don't know in the 50s if they actually go back and verify. Most of the time from the people that I heard before that I knew back then, they said that all they did was just go in, the assessor's office, just go out and evaluate. They didn't cross-reference with each city for each dwelling to see what was there and what
No
was
answer
not.
to that. 1949, assessor goes and sees 3 units, right? Right after that, city inspector goes, approves a plumbing permit, and looks, it's 3 units, is it permitted, it's not permitted, doesn't write violation?
But remember, adding extra plumbing is not a violation.
It's a city official,
No, city
because-
official, like I said again, for me, anybody can go and you can add another bathroom,
Yeah,
you can add the stuff.
yeah,
You can get
anyone-
permits for
anyone,
it, that's not a problem.
but-
But what we're involving here is an actual existing unit, which is 2 separate issues. And that's why I said you're lumping it all together just because that, okay, I was able to add a bathroom, I was able to add a kitchen, that automatically says that I have a second unit. That's what you're saying right now, because there is no documentation that shows you got a permit for a second dwelling.
The city official said a whole lot of documents are missing. And Ms. Edwards did indicate to me a lot of documents are probably not there. The documents that you see in your pile, it is sometimes the same document appears twice. That's how they hand it over to me. I'm not sure whether they lost it. It's a 70 years old building. You're telling me to go back then, you're assuming right now, but I'm giving you facts that the inspector went in and looked at they went inside the building probably to look, plumbing is not outside probably. Fixture is not outside. Probably is outside, probably not. But they go see 425A, 425B, and they say, hey, this is not permitted. Let me inform my superiors. And you telling me as a lay person, you're telling me to produce documents. I went around everywhere. I read the zoning. I read everything here to put in order to bring everything they asked that I brought in. And yet, they have not produced any other, they have more, I think, resources than I do. I went and got all the documents, and you asking me to produce their documents. They don't have it. I mean, put yourself in my position. If they don't have it, they don't have it. I'm doing this, everything from their documents. And clearly, a few places, it mentions 425B. And yes.
Go ahead, finish it.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I can bring you documents. You ask me, I'll go get them. If it's not there, it's not there. The plan's not there. Certain pages are missing. I'm putting all together, some
No, I know.
factual.
No,
but yeah.
I agree with
Yeah,
you there.
but I cannot find that extra document you were telling me go get that one that they convert. Maybe at the time some city official forgot to put it. I don't know. We're assuming things. But not.
Because that.
I wish
that-
I
to
had
me,
it.
that
I mean, if I
documentation
had
is
it, we
very
would
urgent.
not be here.
If I just can make
Yeah, I
one
think-
comment on his Exhibit 2, which is all the information he provided from the county tax assessor. One of the key things for our determination, or that I believe supports our determination, is on the two final sheets, which are the ones evaluating numbers and types of buildings. Only 2 kitchens are ever identified
In the assessors?
in the assessors.
Okay.
And that was, sorry, that was one of my, I had 3 questions, and one of my questions is, and I have it here. I think during your presentation, you said there was a 3rd kitchen?
Yeah, the 3rd kitchen is 1949. The 2nd kitchen.
That's a
the
permitted-
I'm sorry?
Where did that show up, the 3rd kitchen?
The 3rd kitchen showed up in assessor's office, document.
Okay.
The 2nd kitchen appeared back in 1937. When I talked to Miss Edwards, she didn't. I showed this to Miss Edwards. Page 8.
Okay.
It doesn't say kitchen, it says range. They did a work on the range. Luckily, someone mentioned it. And look how they mentioned it. A. Yeah.
I have a question. How many tax you pay, like for parcels? For
Well,
like if 3 parcels, then
Parcel.
no, it's
It's
not
just one
parcel.
parcel.
It's just one
Single parcel.
parcel.
Okay.
It's a single
but
parcel.
how many you pay? 1 tax?
I pay tax now because, let me explain. It was assessed back in whatever year before I bought it as 3 units. When I go buy it, they reassess it whatever my purchase price is. So I'm paying, it probably was $200,000 back then, whatever they assessed it as 3 units. Now those 3 units, or 3 units is, I bought it for $630,000. They're going to assess with that purchase price. They're not saying, oh, you have 3 parcels or anything. That's how I understand it. It's a
Then-
purchase price.
Then
But
you're
it still
paying-
shows three units.
Okay, then you're paying only 1 tax for 3 units.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a subdivision as a condo, I guess I would pay separately, but these are just one. I do it on my other properties too. It's per parcel. It's not per unit. I mean, if I could separate it 425A as a condo and sell it, then I would pay a separate tax on it. But as an apartment unit, you just pay one for every apartment unit. I mean, building. You just don't separate A is this much, B is this much. As soon as you subdivide, then you do it. And there is this issue. I mean, I guess I sort of discussed this issue with Mr. Bear. It's a constitutional issue. They're taking a property away from a person without a due process. It does show 425B. I've been having problems financing it. I raised that issue with Mr. Bear because they're going into title reports and assessor's office. This is 3 unit, and city says single family. We cannot. How we do describe it? I went to several mortgage companies, and that's what they say. And I'm in the middle, so I don't know what to do. And it's just taking away my. It seems like.
Well, again, if I could also comment on the tax assessors, because you're always looking, is it consistent? He stated that in '54 an extra kitchen was added by those things, even though only one kitchen was identified to begin with. According to the tax assessor, even before that was done, there was 3 units. So in '54, if he's saying that was an added unit, tax assessor was saying that didn't change their determination of what they thought was out there to begin with. So we know that the garage unit was built in '22 at the same time as the original one, but the one in '54 wasn't to add, or in the '50s wasn't to add anything because they had already had that determination before that there was apparently an error that determined it was 3 units earlier, and it was continued on but never increased in the '50s. And again, all of our information shows that the front was a single-family dwelling. Based on the Sanborn maps, we would say the front was a single-family dwelling for at least the last 38 years. And so Ms. Edwards made the determination, and when I reviewed these documents, I saw nothing to change that determination, but that's why the applicant is here, to see if you, as an independent body, have a different set of eyes on this, you could come to a different conclusion.
To address that issue, assessor assessed 3 times. When the garage unit was built, 24 or 25, they assessed it. I don't have that document. They don't have it. And garage unit by itself is about 500 square feet, 400 something. Yet this assessor square footage is close to 300. That is a separate unit altogether. That is the kitchen which was there, not in a garage unit. Garage unit, this 1937, it was not added. It was some electrical work done for the unit, for the range. It was there before. So it must have been assessed 1924. So it was there. The new assessment in 1949 concerns the building of 1949-1950, which was the back unit for 300 some square footage. That's not the garage unit. Garage unit is for about 500 square feet, and it's in the plan right there.
Including the garage.
Not including the garage. The 425A is 400 some square foot.
Question. How is the addresses? 425A, 425B, and what's
425, just 425, as indicated on a SAP panel.
okay?
42, the way
Because the way I'm looking at your document, Exhibit 5, Document 9, their A and B is front house, back house. That's the way I look at it.
No.
Because see, if there was a third one here, third unit, they would have posted it. It would have been
But
listed, even though,
Did they call for an inspection for that? The third one. It would be if they called for an inspection for that one. If he didn't call for an inspection for the third one, there's no reason to note it.
May I get water?
well, and plus there wouldn't be, the unit would be there.
But he's making the case that A and B are divided. He has no issues with the
Yeah,
third one.
because in looking at the way this is organized, front unit, back unit, that's what I'm seeing.
Oh,
That's what I'm,
well,
it- there's no third.
But in any case, there's a B.
Mr.
Correct, the
Bagram,
B would be the back unit.
which one is 425B? 425A, 425, that's it. No.
This is 425, let me draw the, actually, the building is such.
Okay.
This is 425B. And the bathroom is here, sorry. This is the new bathroom constructed in 1949. The door is here, I think.
That's entrance
Yeah,
for this
entrance,
unit.
yeah. And dividing wall is somewhere here. I can see, that's how I remember.
See, the reason why I'm more particular on this, my parents' property built 1925 in LA. Same thing. But they never approved a permit for it. That's why we demolished and rebuilt on it, because would have never been able to get a permit like that for it. And that's, I have a feeling that's what, they just did additions to it.
But
And
they're all
that's what I'm
permitted.
seeing, without getting the approvals, because even in those times, the bedrooms, my parents' building, it was, it was an extra bedroom that actually had two doors exiting. And that's why the previous owner, my parents bought it in the 70s. Previous owner made it into an extra unit. So that's not permitted, because they wouldn't have approved it, because it had, no firewall, no separation, safety issues weren't there to be able to prove it. And that's my concern, is that's probably why there's no paperwork to it. It's not that it's lost, it's because, remember, that documentation, I doubted if they would lose it, because you can lose anything in between, all the permits, little
The
stuff.
city lost
But-
it.
Correct, even, that permit requires more than one sheet for existing additional units, even back in the 50s. It's not just, these are remodeling additions. When you add an actual submit for an actual unit, they have more writing on it. So that's why
I
can't,
I'm just going
I don't
out
know.
of the.
unless
I'm
it's
just
something
go-
that I don't know about.
I sort of agree with you. I wish they had it. If they had the permits and documents, I wouldn't be standing here and have a pleasure of talking to you. But it's such is the thing. Like I said, I did all the searching and going here and there, and this is all I found. There is nothing out there, and the word is these people did not use S3 units for a long time because it's a big family. They don't want other people live on their property. They use the 425A to store all kinds of things, and back of the house, the same thing. We had 2, 3. I wish I kept all the documents, but being an honest person, I just gave it to him. But he had bills from 1950s or something.
Is he still around?
I'm sorry?
Is he still around?
I don't know. He was like 90 to 100 years old. I don't know.
Well, no, whoever has his, maybe they still have the documents, can look through the files.
He sold it 2 years ago, so now he's 2 years older.
I had boxes of documents sitting up to here, and like I told you, I took the cover, I put the letters on it and put photos.
Yeah.
And I put it away for them to come pick it up. Who picked it up, I don't know. This is after closing.
I have a question for the building official. It seems, the way that I see it, there's like 4 entities that are involved in this process. Obviously, we have the city permits, and then we have the assessors, the utility company. Was that together with Glendale at the time, or was that a separate entity? I know it is now.
Glendale's never had a gas,
Okay.
but they've had electrical and water since, I don't even know, but a long time ago.
And then there's title. So my question.
Title is separate. Title is basically an insurance on whatever you're buying and what they say. They look at their records and they come up with it.
So
a simple thing is looking at the assessor. They can state they were only stating what the assessor was stating.
My question to you is twofold. Well, let me start with the first one. How did the city correspond with these 4 agencies? Did they or did they not? The assessors at the time, if you know, with the assessors, obviously the city is, your records are on hand. The utility, can you go out and just call the utility to hook up another house, or did that instruction have to be sent from the city? And then, of course, the title. If you can,
I cannot speak-
however much you
Yeah.
can.
I
put
cannot
towards that.
speak for how the title company operates.
Okay.
I cannot speak for correspondence and records, even in the city, to the county assessor in the 20s and 50s.
Okay.
I know as late as the 60s, the assessor was doing their work independent of any local jurisdiction and could tax it based on what they saw, not what was permitted. With respect to utilities, I know that since I've been here, communication between us and Water and Power has improved. There were many instances right when I got here where somebody would come in and say, oh, I'm changing out my meter, and get a new meter spot and say, oh, that justified a new unit. We do not consider that at the time. So with utilities, it changes. Those are getting more complicated with the ADUs that we have, because you don't need a new meter for a new unit. It's voluntary what you choose to do. So things change, and so at any given time, I really can't speak to what their policies were. The same thing is I can't determine what was assessed as a unit by the assessor. Maybe they were renting a bedroom. It was after the war in the 50s or the 20s, and they may have been renting a bedroom, and the assessor says, hey, that's good enough to be a unit, even though it was never had a kitchen or anything that we would talk to as a unit. Bottom line is, yes, we have expertise in determining records, and we use the best available information. We use everything that we can. We have used county assessors' records when they're more clear than these to actually approve something. But in this instance, we went through all the records that we could, and we came up with the determination that the front building was only permitted as a single-family dwelling. We did say that the back unit was legal, but it was only, we could not find anything that said, 3 kitchens, 2 units in the front. We could not find it. And even after reviewing the tax assessor documents that he brought to me, I could not find enough information to change the determination that was made by my predecessor.
Back to the meter issue, I think when we come in for a meter, first we go to you, meaning the department, and then we go to the department. I don't know how they operate it, then it shouldn't be any different. And the department goes and locates the meter, they release it, and inspectors go approve it. In this case, your inspector went and approved it.
Again,
that
we're
means-
talking about two different eras. I know in
Okay.
the 18 years I've worked here, it's changed.
But,
So I can not speculate what was done beforehand.
yeah, well, all we doing here is speculating by some board members how it happened back then. But
See, I sort of feel that, for example, the meter panel that the sub-panels, the building my parents bought in the 70s, same thing. They had sub-panels for that extra unit in the back.
I know, but you can't.
yeah, that's
There's no
that's-
permit.
Yeah,
That's
You
what-
can make your own decision, but
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't bring
It's
something else.
Yeah.
These are you have to deal with the facts that we
yeah,
have.
it's. I don't know what the facts with your parents' situation. Probably they had what they needed, but this is what I can present here. This is what I found, and it's ongoing thing for a year or so. Can't find any more. I wish I could. And
Mr. Bagramian,
yes,
are you intending to sell the whole property as 3 unit? That's why you are here?
no, sir.
Oh.
Actually, no.
Oh,
To sell, no.
Good.
I mean, I can put in writing I won't sell it. My wife would not let me.
How about the rental? You're working for the rental.
I
The 1 unit.
I probably, yes, I have a daughter who's graduating pretty soon, a nurse. I intend her to go there. I have elderly parents who will probably live there. I have plenty family. My son is just graduating, so it's not, things could change. I might go live there, you know. It's near to Galleria, and my wife loves Galleria, so.
So you're going to leave La
I'm there.
Cañada?
I'm sorry?
You're going to leave La Cañada and come to Hawthorne
You
Avenue?
never know.
Oh, and
You never know. I may sell my. It's getting too much, but it's. You never know. You come visit me. I'll be there. I assure you, I'll be there.
I will come with Zaved. He knows.
Yeah, he knows it. He knows the back doorway. No, it's no intention of selling. I wanted to sell because there was another before all this started, but then I decided not to.
So there was
That's why Mr. Bear had before I start remodeling. I wanted to sell it because when I bought it, I wanted to tear it down and build 4 or 5 units.
Yes.
And finances, I talked to several people. Finances wasn't right for me. To wait 2 years, they discouraged me for 2 years to wait to build. It was not in my plans. That's not me. I'm not a contractor, nothing. Yeah, so I decided to sell to buy another property because I bought it cash. I took money out from here and there to buy it, not that I had in my pocket. Credit lines and everything else, I bought it. And I couldn't afford it anymore, just to have it like that. So I wanted to sell to buy another property, at least somewhere where I could finance it. But then I decided to do it.
So that's the reason it triggered the whole thing.
Yeah, what?
So you had the intention to sell it.
Before I remodeled, but now I don't
Yeah.
have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was
It
some
was-
reason that triggered the whole issue.
Yeah, because when I went in and
But
it
the
was,
speculation is.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just,
I
no,
don't
it's not
understand the
selling. No, it's not profit
It's
making.
a matter of record, whether there's 3 units or not, we have to decide as a board.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's
what
more
he's gonna
question?
do with it,
No,
what he did
no,
with
it's
it,
he.
what he.
He
you
has
know,
all the rights to ask me. No, honestly, no intention of selling.
You have more questions, Mr. Chairman? Before we make this.
Does anybody have any questions for the building official, the,
I may
Mr.
add
Bagramian?
something regarding the separation, fireproofing, whatever the term is, which I don't know. Since I'm ready to remodel this thing, all that safety issues will come up, and inspectors, I'm sure, will come to my property as they did for 425A, and will all those be eliminated. Those separations, the windows are wide as it is. I know it's 48 by 48. It's much bigger than that. There is a door. It's just a single. I think having a door is enough not to have the windows that wide, but the windows are wide. But I need to remodel. I need to do this. And all those issues will eliminate it.
You can get us like better plan, floor plan,
Okay?
separate front unit, room, and then garage, separate kitchen, bathroom, door, window.
To get a better plan, I can hand draw it from my memory, but to hire an architect to do this, it's going to take time.
The owner has obtained all the appropriate permits to remodel the garage, building, and unit that's back there. So that building and his efforts to improve the area are not in question.
And inspectors really applauded when they came for a final. They said, we didn't think this is going to come out the way you did it. And they were really happy. And the same thing's going to happen to the front unit. It's not going to be, I have a big yard. If parking is the issue, I have a big yard. They can park there. I intend to do that also. I have to clean. If you visited, you see a lot of junk.
Well, I visit, yes, on Hawthorne, just to look at the building.
Yeah,
I was in the car.
yeah,
I look at the staircase that closed. I cannot sit back.
yeah.
I was in the
There's
car.
some
Fine.
there's some items because as these units were used as storage, these people moved their stuff out there sitting. I asked them to get a storage to do it. Maybe I'll buy it, but eventually that landscaping is going to be done nicely. Parking is going to be probably used for parking, and it's not going to interfere with the street parking. I got plenty of room there. I think it's better to have a 3-unit than a 4 or 5 unit with 5 or 3 or 4 cars per family to park, and they're going to take much space. But it's in the future plans.
Any other questions from the board members to the building official, to the gentleman? No? What is the appropriate thing to do here? Mr. Building Official, you said there's 3
There's 3
different options we have here?
options. One is rule that the building official did not err in their determination, rule that we did with no conditions, or rule that we did err but subject to whatever conditions you want to put on it, or
As a board, we have a right to, I think the right word is stipulate? what the-
stipulate, yeah, add conditions to your approval. Or, but like I says, the choice is yours. You can,
And is that something, the chairman, Mr. Eric Kashishian, is not here, and he's like
you have
expert
4
with this
members,
stuff,
you
but
can make a decision.
Could we, yeah, with 4 members, is
As long
this
as you get
something
3
that-
votes. As long as you get 3 votes.
3 votes, yeah. Okay, yeah. I can, as the,
You want to recess?
as the chairman call for a vote, we can postpone it, we can, is that something that we can do, Mr. Building Official?
You can always table the motion and consider it at a future date. Since it is a public action, the documents that you have and the discussions you have must be public, so you could come up with your determination.
So,
Can I make a motion to table it?
you can, of course, you can make it.
I will make a motion to table it.
We need to
Is
hear
there
a
a
second
second?
motion. I don't think I can make that motion. I can't.
To
as the
second it?
chairman. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't, one of the other 2 would have to second it.
But can you explain what table
Yeah, he
means?
could talk.
Means they're not making a decision today, they're gonna give you a chance to come back later on.
How late?
with any new information.
There is none. No information out there. I wish,
There's no second.
unless I
Second-
start
second.
digging inside, I find a
Is-
big box.
Because my motion would be to make the determination that the building official is correct, but to make a stipulation saying that he should apply to get a legal second unit out of that.
I don't know.
I don't think there's a
apply.
need to stipulate, because if he wants more units, he can always go about legally, he has to go through the process.
From
I-
what
I-
I
I think-
understood in the discussion was that he can apply for it, but the requirements from zoning and this and that is gonna prevent that from happening.
I
think
don't
there
know if
was-
it'll prevent it from
Well-
happening, but there'll be a different review.
There'll be a different.
Yeah, I think he's hoping that determination that another unit exists basically lets him not have to go through the planning process when he improves the front. We consider house, he considers duplex.
So, as the chairman, we have a first, and we need either a second, or we need to withdraw the first motion
For his motion?
for his motion. We have a motion on the table,
Well, I second.
okay?
So
There's a
with
second.
the motion is
Table.
table it for a future date
Yes.
and allow the applicant to review information and see if they could come up with more before you make a decision?
Yes.
But as it is, there is no other document. It's just, I don't want to call it, it's just delaying the process, because I don't know what documents, if the board sort of hints what documents they want, maybe I can get it, maybe not, but
I think a couple of the board members have suggested that they at least see a floor plan of how a duplex would be laid out in the front.
And then electrical meter, it doesn't show meter here, only shows the sub panel.
Well, you
but
can
that
answer
is
that
gone.
question now.
That is gone.
Are there
AI.
meters or are there panels?
What is it that you,
I am showing what is presently there. This is before, may I?
sure.
This is what's there now.
Okay, there is a meter on it or
Yeah,
open?
this is, there are meters on it.
How many
Here.
meters?
It shows
Uh,
there is no meter.
This is when they did not, the city did not release it, but there is, hold on.
So basically, it looks like they've installed it in anticipation that they would get approval for meters. We haven't released it because we still are in dispute on the number of legal units.
You can build that.
So that's a
No, but-
3-meter panel?
That's a,
Yes.
he showed a
So
3-meter.
panel, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry,
But-
I want to get with the meters, maybe I could show it to you too.
But that's okay, because right now, like I said, none of the governing or utilities will approve for a third meter without
Without the
city approval.
releasing.
So that's one of the determining factors.
For 2 units on a lot, we have in the past allowed 3 meters, having it 1 for each unit and 1 house meter.
Yeah, house light and water.
This is current now?
This is correct.
There's 3 meters on it.
So it may be for 2 units plus a house meter. It's not unusual that we would have 2 units on a lot and 3
Right.
meters.
House lights and water.
But, okay, so.
But I'm not
I'm
sure
a little,
what permits that was under.
yeah,
Thank you.
I'm confused.
It is
Was that-
the new,
The one we haven't signed yet.
you signed it?
Have we?
No, it's released it.
But the,
I don't have the permits for the second
I can,
unit.
I'm sorry? I can, this is from the, may I? This is the house from behind. This is that unit, the window and door is here.
This is a small room.
This
that,
is, it's
additional.
That's the,
attached.
it is permitted also, done in 1927.
There's a permit for that structure, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
Yeah, there is, yeah. And that's what they mentioned, when the bathroom is right behind it, and it says, in a permit, it says, new addition to existing bedroom, including, which I showed it to you, toilet and a shower. It's a new addition. The city permit says that.
Correct.
They
That's
use
why I
the
didn't
word
say-
new addition.
New addition.
Which means it's not a unit. 'Cause
But if it has a
additional
kitchen,
unit,
if
they'll
it has a
tell you.
kitchen and a
Yeah.
bathroom.
It didn't say kitchen.
It didn't say
didn't-
kitchen.
but
The
I-
permit did not say kitchen.
Maybe, this is what I want to clarify. Somewhere in the discussion, and I've circled it because I keep coming back to it, there's a third kitchen. Where did this third kitchen?
Again, there's no third kitchen out there now. We have no idea where it was. And on the two issues on the tax assessor, only two different appraisals and documentation, there was no more than 2 kitchens noted on the site. So,
The kitchen is in that unit.
and again, we're not questioning any illegal square footage. We're only stating that the front building as it exists was ever permitted as a single-family dwelling. Because we cannot, we can find documentation that it was permitted as a single-family dwelling, and we can't find any documentation that would alter that.
Okay, so then there was a comment about 3 sets of plumbing and gas permits?
Right. Yes.
And that's in our document set?
Right.
3 sets of
3
plumbing
sets,
and,
yes.
and
Separate sets. One is with the original house. I can go one by one. In Exhibit 5, page 3, in the middle column, it does have all the, it doesn't state kitchen, it just says gas, sewer, and rough and final. It's Exhibit 5, page 3. I think we passed it. It's this one.
Here,
I think
this one?
yeah, this one.
it says on the page.
Building, plumbing, wiring.
Yeah, it's
Back in
underneath. It says 3,
1922.
page 3.
Yeah, this is the original permit? Or
That's
this is-
the original house permit.
Right,
That when it was done,
1922.
1922.
right.
And right after, in 1928, page 7 and 8,
Yes,
there is a gas on page 8, gas,
yes.
right in the middle. And also, page 6, there is sewer, rough, final in the middle, page 6. And following page 7, they finalized it. It says rough and finish. 6, 7, 8. That's the second set. And
6 and 7 obviously are for the garage because it says for garage.
Correct.
it not necessarily, but let's assume that. Fine. Page 9, there is another set of gas. First column,
And it says general repairs.
where does it say?
On 8, on the building side, up
No,
in the
no,
corner, it
I'm
says general
referring
repairs.
page 9.
Well, isn't that the inspection record on the back of 8?
Yes.
Okay, we're going back to
So
8.
we're talking about,
It's the same sheet.
again, it's the repairs of the house. So, again, when somebody gets a plumbing permit for gas, it doesn't mean it's a new service. It means they're altering a gas line.
Okay.
No, because one
Okay,
says
when it
28,
says
the other one
repairs,
says 49.
it clearly goes
Says
to the permit
1949.
356. but the plumbing is 35818, and it says over. That means you turn it, that's how I learned it from your department. Over means you see the back side of the page, and it is
Oh, they indicate over, meaning that
over.
there's
Over
notes
means
on the back.
Where do you
look in the back.
Okay.
The repair the repair is for the building. It's a building repair, not gas repair.
Right.
Okay, so the page 8 and 7 are together to show it's one complete set. On 9 is the third separate set, which is like 6-7 months later, gas, plumbing, and sewer.
So,
Okay.
Okay,
So-
that's the kitchen.
I think as a board, we have an obligation to come up with a decision. I mean, we can't, he has, the applicant the right word? The applicant
Yes.
Yeah.
has a right to
Due
get
process,
a,
which is timing.
which is time also. Now, if we, you have a motion to
table it,
table it,
and
do we come back in 1 month, or do we come back in 1 week, or do we come back,
well,
or do we have
Our
to come back
regular-
and make our decision on the public forum?
yes.
You would
Yes.
come back and make your more discussion
Discussion.
here to see what else you could do. Again, even if you deny the request, if he brings in more information, we could schedule another hearing and bring it back that way. If you're leaning that way, if you're leaning the other way and you need more information, just either way he can come back. It's just whether he has to file another one. If he brings in more compelling information, there's a chance that the building official will change their determination.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a motion, we have a second. I'm asking for roll call.
Vice Chairman John Tatulian,
Yes.
Board Member Stephen Lee,
No.
Board Member Eric Kishishan,
Not present.
not present. Board Member Ara Aharonian,
Yes.
Board Member Saben
Yes, understand,
Hanesian, sorry.
yes.
So now we're tabling it?
We're tabling.
And so, how do you want to leave it indefinite, or until he brings in more information, or do you want to schedule a date now?
June 20th, our next scheduled regular meeting.
More information.
June, I think we go to July, because we had one last month, and you said quarterly, but we could schedule one next month if you want.
June 20th.
Well, we have to-
It's me. I don't. It's just. Then I have to delay my repairs for another 2 months. If I start my remodeling, I need to do it. I've been waiting for a year. It's. I don't know what tabling will result. I don't know if there are any other evidence out there except what you requested, the drawing. That's the only thing I figure I could do it. If you want I can draw on a piece of paper or get an architect to do, that's another option. But then my plans have been delayed for 6-7 months. Okay, if I can start doing something.
When we, Mr. Building Official, when we table something, do we have an obligation? Or you can't.
He can withdraw it at any time.
I can't imagine that we could table something indefinitely. It would
No,
be a
we would
table
prefer
to-
that you indicate
Yeah.
what time you want it.
Right.
Can we do a special meeting on June 6th, which is the first Wednesday of June?
If the board
Especially-
determines that you want a special meeting on June 6th, we can
Can we do
schedule it.
that?
Well, respectfully, we need to ask all the board members, number one, the building official, the city for their schedule and availability, and of course the applicant.
In order to
To
make
see-
him rush, because.
Six is okay with
But
me,
see,
20 is not.
My
That'd be 3
question
weeks.
to you guys is, what is going to make determination.
It would,
What
yeah, it
is
would be
he- what is
preferable
he
if
gonna
you
bring?
gave
If
him
he already-
direction on what you're looking
Yeah,
for, because
well,
right now,
yes.
he's saying he's giving you everything he has.
I
Correct.
think what the Mr. Building Official indicated is probably a floor plan. Floor plan. I'm getting the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, that people are not understanding the current configuration of what's on the property now. And the way, he helped us with some pictures, but I think just a little bit, just a floor, a plot plan possibly, and even hand sketched would be
Yeah,
okay?
you
or-
don't have to go to architect.
It is,
But
Nice,
here's
nice
my,
room, bedroom, kitchen,
our
whatever.
our
That's it.
purpose right now is to make a determination if there was
an error.
permit that does not exist or does exist. That's the only decision we need to come up with. Now, by seeing that floor plan, will it help you produce a document in your mind that there is a permit? Or if there's not a permit, is that gonna help? That's the question, because if it's not gonna help, we should make a decision now, because there's no, what we're supposed to be voting on is if there's documentation or no documentation. Because right now, like I said, right now, there's no documentation. So that's why I said, what is gonna make you guys change your minds or to make a vote?
Mr. Lee, I guess as a commissioners, we have to make the right decision, and we have to
Correct.
study this more intensely after hearing the gentleman. We cannot say by looking at the pictures what we think. We heard him, okay? We have to go and see the building, okay, how it looked physically, and read it again, so that as a professional we come to a final right decision. That's why we need time for that.
But the determination of what the question is I think we're not on the right. The
That's
question
why-
just says if there's legal, is there enough paperwork in this pile to prove that that third unit exists? That is what we're voting for, not if it looks good, looks correct.
Mr. Lee, there's
The,
a third option.
third option,
There's a
yes.
third option
Okay,
to see what other reasons can there be
okay,
in order to modify the whole thing. That's why we need time in order to study it better and come up with the right choice.
okay.
That's why.
No,
I
I'm
call
okay
for
with
it.
that. That's
No, no,
okay.
I mean,
I just-
if I may, I agree with the point that you're making, and I agree with your point. I think for me, there's a overwhelming amount of documents here, and I was able to look at it as well as I thought I could before the meeting, but hearing the building official, hearing the applicant, it kind of has to sink in is the best thing that I
Yeah,
could
course.
think of. And I wasn't aware that there's a third determination, and maybe going through it one more time, we can either come up with that third determination or be sure that we know that we either supporting or we are not supporting the building officials
No, I'm okay.
meeting. I have a technical question, Mr. Building Official. The next meeting, obviously, if Eric is available, he would participate in that meeting. How does it work technically? Is he
We have to-
able to participate
the
in the
Noble?
meeting, or
He is, because essentially when you're opening it back up, you're opening it up so he could ask any questions he wants.
Right.
Perfect.
So
That'd be good.
we have to do special meeting on the 6th?
But
or
we can,
But
we
June
can
6th
try
I
for a
can't make it.
special meeting.
I have a graduation to do.
That's a Wednesday.
Well,
Yeah,
well, we,
Glendale Unified last day of school is Wednesday.
Then we have to do our regular meeting on the 20th.
I won't be here on the 20th. I'll have somebody here. We could try for the 13th, because I know he's in a hurry.
No, in a hurry, and I'm not here 20th.
Okay,
I
the
might not even
13th?
be here 13th.
so either we gonna decide to have it on the 6th or the
July
following-
18th.
6th or
July-
July.
or
July
July?
18th.
Let's
Yeah, that's our next
let's do
meeting.
June 6th.
June 20th,
Yes, is our regular scheduled meeting.
regular scheduled meeting.
We're trying to expedite.
We're trying to expedite and make it the 6th.
Let's do 6th. It's because I'm not here and Mr. Bear is not here.
So if both of them
So-
are not here, then our regular scheduled meeting will be July 18th, which is the third
No.
Wednesday of July.
I just want to make one clarification. Mr. Bear is not here on the
20th.
20th.
I can be here on the
That-
6th.
The claimant is not here,
Or on the
Mr.
20th.
Bagramian.
but you are here on the 6th.
I am here.
Are you on here on the 6th?
That's what I'm suggesting.
You are, I am, he's not. We don't know if
Eric can be.
Eric can be here or not.
So it'd be the three of you, which you could still, you'd have to be unanimous to make a decision.
Unanimous meaning two,
All three of you would have to come to the
oh,
decision.
Like
all
today,
three,
like
yeah,
today.
yeah. Three people have to come to a decision.
Mhm.
Those are good, thank you for making that clarification.
It is unanimous or 2-1 or majority?
No, it would have to be three for the
Three
board.
for the
It's
president
3 out of
and
5.
president.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, we have a motion that was approved to,
Table it.
to table the meeting. Now
And
we're
the-
deciding if the 6th is appropriate or not. So, can I
Can we
make
do on
that determine?
27th? Can we
can
do on
I-
27th, the last
Six.
Wednesday?
No,
6th, you cannot.
no, that's Memorial Day weekend, I don't think. Oh, that's, sorry.
That's June.
4th of July.
June.
You cannot make it on
No,
6th.
Well,
No,
previously, the
week-
26th.
1 week
oh, no.
before the,
No,
I think we have,
sixth
I
is-
think we have a majority
28th
agreement
next
to
week.
do it on the 6th.
Okay.
So as
Yeah, but
the
then
chairman of the,
I'm 6th.
of today's meeting,
Let's,
I'm suggesting that we set the meeting for the 6th.
6th is
6.
special meeting.
Special meeting.
Special meeting on the
I
6th.
think we have an obligation to do it as soon as possible.
The room's available, we can accommodate that, or we'll figure out
Or another
another room.
location.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I
So,
will
yes.
officially move to adjourn the meeting.
Well, let's see where we are on the agenda. 1 second.
The last thing is, I'll skip ahead to 8, which is after the appeal. The next one was review of the department's reports. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, you can adjourn.
The reports have the same figures as January.
Okay, good.
That's it.
No, it's the next month. Yeah,
So
very close.
we can carry,
close.
we can carry that to the next meeting
Yes.
if anybody has any questions.
Mhm.
With that, I would like to move on to item number 9 on the agenda, which is adjournment.
Adjournment.
Yes.
So can I have what, the first motion for the adjournment?
Can we have a motion?
I made the motion.
You do,
I'll second the motion.
Second the motion,
Mr. Aharonian, and who's the second one, I'm sorry?
Mr. Lee,
Oh, Jan, Mr. Lee.
to adjourn.
to adjourn.
Okay, and you want me to do the roll call again, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we please have the roll call?
Okay, Vice Chairman John Tatulian,
Yes.
Board Member Stephen Lee,
Yes.
Board Member Eric Kishishan, Board Member Ara Aharanian,
Yes.
Board Member Zaven Hanesian.
Yes.
Thank you.
Stand adjourned.
Thank you.